The following show is a paid program.
Hey family, how you doing today? We have the best of the best with us, the iconic, legendary, and co-founder of the OJs, Mr. Eddie Levert. Hey, Mr. Eddie Levert, how you doing?
How you doing, Cam? I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
Man, I'm
Good.
so excited. We have so many people on the line, so many fans of yours for all of these years. Man.
Oh man, it's been a long time. It's been, but Houston has been. That's where your show located, right? In
Yes.
Houston, right?
Yes.
And for Houston has been a place that has really supported the OJs throughout our career. We've
Mhm.
been able to go down there and people just treat us like we're from Houston. And
Yeah.
plus, I got family down there also.
Right, right, absolutely. So many people as looking after I looked at everything. You are originally from Alabama, and at 6 years old went to Ohio.
Yes, absolutely. No, well, actually, I was four. I was
Okay.
four, and I got in a little trouble with them white folks down there, and I beat up on a few of them. And my grandmother put me on a train late one night and sent me up to Cleveland to stay with my mom.
Wow, that is good. And from that time on, in looking at it, how did you really get started into entertainment?
Oh man, I really started out singing in the church. Me and my brothers and Walt Williams,
Hmm.
we still together as part of the OJs. But me and two of my brothers and Walt Williams, the four of us started out singing in the Holiness Church and what they call sanctified church, and
Uh-huh.
where they play drums and guitars and all that stuff. And we would do a radio show every Sunday where we would sing, but the only guys that were any good in that group was me and Walt. We had to get rid of my two brothers. They couldn't sing, man.
That is
They was
too
just taking
too
up
funny.
space. They
Hmm.
was taking up
They're taking up
space.
space.
But that's actually where I started off in the church, and then went from there to the Baptist church where Walt's dad was the choir director, and you couldn't go to his church and not be a part of the junior choir. And
Hmm.
so he made us get in the junior choir, and that's where I really actually learned how to really sing,
Hmm.
because he was a great teacher, and he told us that you start a song on the first floor, and then you go to the second floor, and then you go to the third, and then you go through the roof. And that's the way I've learned to build my songs as I'm singing. That
Hmm.
you start on the first floor, go to the second floor, third floor, and then through the roof. You build a song, and then he he was one of those people that told you, well, you have to learn how to sing from your diaphragm.
Hmm.
And so all of these little things were taught to me at an early age.
Yes.
So I started. Then when I got into circular music, um, it was like I was like that's when we ran into Bobby Massey, William Powell, Bill Isles, and myself and Walt Williams. We were in high school, and so we were having semester exams. So we got together during one of the breaks, and we were singing in the hallways. And the acoustics in the hallways in school were
Right.
always great. It always sounded like
Hmm.
you were in an echo chamber.
Right.
And so we thought we sounded pretty good, and so we decided that we'd start a group. And from there we started out. We call ourselves the Triumphs at
Mm-hmm.
that point.
Absolutely. And looking at everything, I understand everybody were great singers, but one had a car. So that was that Bobby? Bill Lyles?
That was
Bill?
Bobby. Bobby, no, that was Bobby Massey.
Bobby had he had
He
the
had a
car.
car and he could drive, so he was definitely in the group. You know what?
I love that one. I love that when you said he had a car, so he had to be in the group.
You know, he could sing a little bit. But that car was the extra, was the icing on the cake, and we got a way to get around. And then the amazing part about that was that when we started doing gigs and going from different towns to town, he was the only one that had driver's license,
Uh-huh.
so he would drive all the time, and
Mm-hmm.
so he got out of driving, and so he started getting to the place that well, y'all got to learn how to drive. And so he would be driving. So in order to make us learn how to drive, he would act like he was sleepy. And while he was driving, he'd drive off the road, and all of us be talking about, "Hey man, are you asleep?" And then he said, "Well, one of y'all need to drive." And we all learned how to drive from being with him. Yeah,
Right. Right.
he was very instrumental in us learning how to drive because we didn't want to die. That's what.
Exactly. And looking at it, your first group in the Triumphs, you had your big break in Cincinnati, huh? Cincinnati, Ohio, when
Yeah,
you all got there.
uh, we went to, well, first of all, we used to hang out in the park, and that was Cook's Park, where was a neighborhood park where everybody went, and they had a swimming pool, and we'd go there and we'd swim. I'd swim all day long. We'd swim all day long. You had three sessions. You had a 9 o'clock session,
Mm-hmm.
then that was over with at about 11. And then you have a 1 o'clock session, and you swim until about 4. And then they'd have a 6 to 9 session,
Mm-hmm.
and you'd go, and I would literally sleep in my swimming trunks. And so yeah, and so one day when we were coming from the park, uh, there was a Greek store, and Andy Andretti and the Gervaises, they owned the store. And so we were coming from the park and we were singing, and they said they heard us singing and said, "Hey, you guys know some people that sing?" And we looking at him like, "Duh, didn't you just hear us? Didn't you just hear?" We know somebody to sing. We do. They said, "Well, we have some songs," and they let us hear their songs. And at that same time, we were writing also, so we let them hear some of our songs. And they took us to New York for Decca Records, and we auditioned. And they said they would get back with us in about 10 days, but they didn't stop there. They went on down to Cincinnati, and we auditioned for King Records.
Mm-hmm.
Sid Nathan, Reed, I think his name was Reed, was the A&R person. And at that time, James Brown was big at King Records. And so we sung in Sid Nathan's office. He liked the group so much that he took us right from his office down to the studio, and we recorded about 4 or 5 of our songs. And it all started from there, man.
Wow.
The bug was the light was lit, and we got into it.
I love it. From Triumphs, he changed your name to the Mascots, huh?
Yeah, we hated that name, hated it, because we always felt like we was a dog or something. You know what I'm saying? You know, and I don't know what his thinking was, but
Uh-huh.
we couldn't wait to get away from that name. But we couldn't come up with anything better
Mm-hmm.
until we ran into Eddie OJ.
Right.
Eddie OJ was a Cleveland DJ, but he could he he couldn't manage the group, so he got his wife to manage us
Mm-hmm.
because it would have a conflict of interest, by him being on the radio. So Eddie OJ took us, and he took us to Detroit, and we auditioned for Barry Gordy. And
Mm.
Barry Gordy won 50% of the money, and Eddie OJ wasn't going for that. So we went around the corner because his wife, Peaches, had a Thelma Gordy, had her own label at that time, and she
Mm-hmm.
was working with Norman Whitfield and Edwin Starr and all of them. And we signed up with her, and we did about a 4 record deal with Decca Records, which were distributing her,
Mm-hmm.
and we had a little bit of success with that. But then Eddie OJ decided that we should go to California and get with HB Barnum. We went to California to stay out there for about 14 days, and then ended up staying for about 3 4 years.
Mm. And let's talk about the fact people don't realize this. You all were young men. You all were not older. Your parents had to just, I mean, you were 18,
Yeah,
19,
yeah, yeah.
20s
Well, I was
when you first started.
I was at that point. I was 18 years old.
Yeah.
You know, and we were basically very young
Mm-hmm.
and green. We had no knowledge of show business at all.
Right.
But I have to say that H.B. Barnum educated us on the writing, the producing,
Mm-hmm.
the ins and out of show business. And we learned a little, but it was really a beginning of the teaching of how the music business worked. And it took a long time for us to get the lesson because we went through the school of hard knocks. You know what I'm saying? Where you
Yeah.
you keep bumping your head and you learn from that, and then you bump your head again and learn something else. But the process, it prepared us for to be a force in the music business.
Yes.
It prepared us. It made us have thick skin. It made us realize that you have to put it in to get it out.
Absolutely. What I love about you all is that your synergy was together, especially during that time. As I was reading over it, I realized, oh, all through this time that you all were together, of course, as a group together. You all stayed together as the group. And not people,
Yes.
a lot of people can work with maybe one person, another guy, but several guys together, and just
Yeah.
staying together.
You know
Yeah.
that we had that attitude of all for one and one for all.
Right.
You know, we're in this together.
Yeah.
Um, because see a lot of things, but we started off 5 guys,
Yeah.
and we did our first record was a record called Lipstick Traces, which
Mm-hmm.
was an Aaron Neville song that we took, and Walter was singing the lead on that song. It went top 40. Uh, then we wrote a song called Lonely Drifter, and that put us into that category where they call beach music. So
Mm-hmm.
we were actually a white group before we were R&B.
Right.
In other words,
Pop
yeah, well,
culture.
yeah, we were doing shows with the Beach Boys. We were doing shows with the Rolling Stones, with the Dave Clark Five, with Sonny and Cher,
Mm-hmm.
the Everly Brothers, and all of that. It's so we were really accepted in the white market before we were accepted in the black market,
Wow.
and that took us a long time because that was during the period where they didn't put black faces on album covers.
Right.
They would use flowers. They would use anything other than who you really were at
Mm-hmm.
that time. And I think that was during the time that what shall we call it, Jim Crow,
Right.
that they wasn't doing. They thought that you wouldn't be able to sell any records if they saw your black face on the record. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So it took us a long time to get out of that, because a lot of shows we didn't play for a lot of black people. We
Mm.
performed for a lot of white audience.
Hmm. In looking at it, Eddie, music is really 10% of the music business, but there is a business side of it 90%. And I think many artists, do not see that side, or they fail at that side.
Yeah, we do. Well, that's because you get into this, and
Mm-hmm.
all you can think about is that I want to be a singer and I want to be a star,
Star,
and
yes.
you're not thinking about this is a business, and I need to know the ins and outs of the business because back in those days you were maybe getting 2 cents off of a record,
Right.
2 cents out of 90.
Uh-huh.
That meant that 10% of that money was not even shown to you.
Mm-hmm.
You were only getting paid on 90% of that dollar. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? And that means you only get 2 pennies. So the money you were paying for the marketing, you were paying for the pressing of the records, you were paying for the packaging. So if we had known that at that time, then we would have known that we owned the record.
Yeah.
That was really our packaging. That was our product, and we needed to be making more money from it. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But that also went on perpetually,
Right.
even when you got with black producers,
Right.
even when you got with the record companies, and you were making because it came down to this. At one time, they were paying us. We were getting $500,000 for an album, but it was really not $500,000
Right.
because they were taking half of that money to cut the product.
Mm-hmm.
And and after you put the product out, that means that if you're paying for the product, the recording session, then you should own that masters. Those
Right.
masters should be yours because they used your money to pay for it.
Right.
But until you're educated and know what to ask for and what to look for, that's just the way the music business was, and that's why I give these young kids a lot of credit now because they now are they're getting the money themselves, and they're owning themselves, and they're
Right.
branding themselves. And this is part of the lesson that we tried to tell them when we were doing interviews on radio or whatever, that you need to own yourself. You need
Right.
to make sure that you got the business end of show business together. So when it comes down to times like this pandemic, when
Yes.
nobody's working, you
Yes.
can still pay your bills and still be making money.
Absolutely. Your royalties and things. You could get your money,
Yeah,
some money.
absolutely.
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 Absolutely. In looking at a lot of the songs that you guys put out, Love Train, how did that come about?
Oh man. Now you're talking about a 5 minute song. You
Uh-huh.
know, they had cut the track, they had the music, they had maybe the first verse and maybe the sing along,
Mm-hmm.
but they didn't have the other song. So basically, that song came about in the studio, and that was a composition that was written by Gamble and Huff, Kenny Gamble and Leon Huff, and Kenny actually wrote the the hook and the second verse right there in the studio as we were recording it.
Absolutely. Let's do this. Let's take a break and we'll be right back on The Cam Hill Show.
We'll be right back to The Cam Hill Show after these messages.
Move up.
up at Ron Carter Cadillac. Drive the new 2021 Cadillac XT4 Luxury Collection for only $319 a month. The new 2021 Cadillac XT5 Luxury Collection for only $399 a month, both for 39 months lease with just $1 down. Or purchase either and enjoy 0.9% APR for 72 months plus bonus cash. Gulf Freeway, just 2 minutes south of the Beltway.
Shop smarter when you shop Ron Carter. RonCarterCadillac.com.
My prenatal promise is to make sure my baby is safe and healthy, because I know it is possible to acquire syphilis, HIV, or other STDs without knowing it. Getting tested is my very first chance to protect my baby. Doctors are required to give expectant mothers 3 separate tests for syphilis. If you're pregnant, ask your doctor if you're being tested properly for syphilis and other STDs. Congenital syphilis can lead to a miscarriage, stillbirth, or an infant death. Don't risk your baby's health. To find out more, visit myprenatalpromise.com.
Amazing things for you.
And now back to the Cam Hill Show.
Hey, thanks so much for coming back. We're with the legendary, iconic Eddie Levert. Mr. Eddie Levert, I have a lot of people doing shout outs to you. Gerald Albright.
That's great.
Gerald
That's great.
Albright just sent in and
Oh,
said
yeah,
there
yeah.
is only one Eddie Levert.
Well, I hope so. I hope you know. Well, if you know my family, there's more than one Eddie Levert.
Well, I tell
Well,
you,
you know,
it's a lot of people that send in questions to you, Mr. Eddie Levert, and we'll go through just a few of them. But I'm telling you, they are so excited. One person, Jerry Dale Moore, said, ask him if his passion for it is still the same or greater. Is your passion for entertainment? That's Jerry Dale Moore.
I'm now 78 years old. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, my passion is not. I have to say it's not basically the same at the same level that it once was. I still love to sing. I still love to write songs. I still love to make records. I still love to go out and perform. But now it's more so. See, once business gets involved, the passion is sort of quelled a little, you know, sort of takes a back seat because now I have to do it because it's become business.
Yes.
It's no longer, there was a time that I would sing just to be singing. If you asked me to do it, I would do it and just break out in songs and enjoy it. But now it's become a way of life. It's become the way that I pay my rent, the way that I take care of my family. So now, I'm not as passionate about it, but I still love doing it.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
It does.
You know, it's more so now it's a business. And, you know, I think business gets in the way of the passion.
Absolutely. There's another question. Deshonda Hill asked, what is something that you know now that you wish you knew when you first starting off in the business?
That I know now.
That you wish you had known then.
Oh man.
Everything, right?
that I needed to own all of my stuff.
That's it. That's it. That's the definite answer. That's the definite answer.
That I needed, what I know now is that I should have owned everything. Everything should have been mine. You know what I'm saying? And those who brought things to the table, I should have got a piece of it anyway, just for me doing it. You know
Yes.
what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know these things. You know, this is when you're singing with passion. This is
Yes.
when passion is in the way of business.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Celebrity photographer Farrell Phelps asked the question of what advice would you give to newcomers in the industry? What advice would you give?
Learn the business.
Yeah.
You know, it's okay to be a great singer or a great performer, but you need to know the business side of it. You need to know what the breakdown will be when you do a show. You need to know how much of an audience you got and how much you can price yourself, that you don't price yourself out of the market or price yourself too low for the market.
Mm-hmm.
You need to know the promoter and who he is. You need to know the record company. You need to know the business.
Yes.
And I would say I won't say put the business before your talent, because that's what you're selling. You have to have a good product in order to be able to make the money. But you must know the business so you can sell yourself properly.
Absolutely. I love it. Marsha Estelle asked, what was your most personable and memorable concert?
Oh wow! I'd have to say my most memorable concert at this point. You know, I had some great moments with the
Yes.
OJs. You know,
Yes.
we broke records. We've sold a lot of we broke records in a lot of arenas and stuff like that. I'd have to say one of my greatest performances was when we played the Greek Theater in LA and we did the Ship Ahoy concept, where we had the ship and the dancers and
Yes.
the whole production. But my most memorable performance was in South Africa when I went there with my son Gerald Levert, and we sung and we did a show in South Africa, in Johannesburg, and we got a chance to go and meet and sit with Nelson Mandela
Mm-hmm.
for a great that that to me was a highlight in my career.
That is absolutely beautiful. There were several songs. Let's talk, and we talked a little early about Brandy, the song, and most people thought it was a woman you were speaking about, but it was a dog.
Yeah, we shouldn't have never told them, man. We should have kept it this secret. We should have lied and said that it was about a woman. But you know, when you think about the song and it
Yes.
said that she was on the doorsteps in the rain,
Yeah.
why would you do that to your woman? You know what I'm saying? So, so we had to basically and see that's where sometimes you need to lie a little bit and keep the fantasy going in
Right.
order to keep making money. Right,
Exactly.
right.
Exactly. Exactly.
Because once we told him that it was about a dog, I think the sales sort of dropped off a little
Right.
bit.
Right. 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 Where did you get the song "Living for the Weekend"?
That was written by one of the funniest, one of the memorable character.
Yeah.
His name was Gary Gilbert,
Yes.
and he had written a song with Leon Huff. But Gary was such a fun, loving guy that you loved being around him. And he wrote Living for the Weekend because he was that kind of guy, that
Mm-hmm.
he lived for the weekend.
Right.
And he he wrote that song, and he always had this attitude that he was always in competition with Gamble and Huff with all his songs,
Uh huh.
and he would always say after he wrote "Living for the Weekend," and we did such a good job on it. And when Kenny Gamble and them would bring us songs, and maybe he didn't think too much of the song, he'd tell me and Walt, he'd pull us to the side. He says, "Don't go in the studio. Don't help him. Don't help him out. Don't really." And then when we go in and we sing and we do a great job on one of the Gamble Up songs, he comes, you helped him. You helped him.
That is too
Because,
funny.
whenever he thought the song wasn't up to snuff, or he would compare their song to one of his songs,
Uh-huh.
he always felt like, okay, man, when you go in the studio, don't help him.
Don't help him.
Don't help him. Don't really put your heart into it. And then once we sing something like "Cry Together" or "Let Me Make Love to You" or one of those songs, he come back after he heard it. He'd be talking about, you helped him. How did you help him? He's a funny man.
That's too funny. Someone is asking, "Stairway to Heaven." Where did that one come about? Beautiful song.
That was a Leon Huff and Gamble song. That was a play on really gospel.
Yes.
And because of the way that they wrote it, because we brought our gospel roots
right
into Philadelphia. You know what I'm saying? Because that's where we come from. Put your head on my shoulder, lean closer.
Right.
And it's step by step, all of that was strictly church.
Right.
And so we just reached back on our church upbringing and put it on that record.
Wow, that was such a beautiful record there. Someone is asking about "For the Love of Money." Where did that come about?
Anthony Jackson, bass player, great bass player. He came into Philly and all he had was the bass line, the did it, and that was all he had. He got with Leon Huff, and Leon put the music to it and the changes and all of that. And Gamble came up with the hook and the verses. And when we got in the studio, Joe Tascia, who was the engineer, and see, when you hear this song, it's like money, 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 and he put all this backwards echo and the flanger on it. So that was really our first time using gimmicks that was in the studio on a record. And it became a tremendous big record. I mean, and even now today, whenever we do that song, they act like it was just out yesterday.
Absolutely, and it's been on everything, everything. People just love that song.
Yeah, we did it. Even what's his name, Dump. He put it on.
Yes.
He used it on his show as a theme song, and we had to. This was before he became president, and he loved that song, but even then he was a strange, weird guy. Even when you were in his company, he was still a little. You could tell whether he really wanted to be in your company or not.
Absolutely.
I didn't have a lot of love for him even then, even though I was making money.
I love that. In doing so, there was another one, Family Reunion.
Oh, wow. Now, that's another song that I started off, like I said, we were doing Holiness Church.
Right.
Then from there to Baptist. And then I started studying the Jehovah's Witness. And there was a lot of truth because the Jehovah's Witness, they deal a lot with the truth in the Bible. And, sometimes they put 100 on 10. I found out later. But me and Kenny Gamble were both experiencing and experimenting in the Jehovah's Witness religion. And so that's where that's how that song came about. And then when you get to the rap part
Right.
and all of that, that was really my teaching from the Jehovah's Witness that became that rap. So that song was inspired strictly from religion and strictly from, we wanted to let everybody know how important family was.
Right.
How important was, your grandmother, your grandfather, and all the people that you love. And this pandemic and this quarantine is an example of how you needed all of that kind of love and family support. And that's what's so great about those songs. They are timeless, and still now they still represent that same thing that when you hear these songs, they're still relative to where we live right now.
Absolutely.
They still relate to and that was the object of doing those kind of songs, like the Stairway to Heaven. And then we did a song called A Prayer, because we felt like the kids need to know how to pray. How to pray, the proper way to pray and get to God. So a lot of these songs were, the message in our music, the Backstabbers, the For the Love of Money, were songs that we were trying to convey to our people what was important and what the things that we were trying to educate.
Right.
And let them know the important things, the things that's going to last a long time, that you need to have in your lifetime, even through bad and good times.
What would you attribute to the OJs, your longevity? What, as far as just telling other, prospects and people that want to go into entertainment, what would you tell them? What advice would you give them to be as, to have that longevity like the OJs have?
You gotta remember, everybody. A lot of people want to be stars.
Right.
A lot of people want to, but you gotta have that thing called the it factor.
Yes.
And you gotta learn how to be you, and be honest with your audience. In other words, there's no phoniness to you. You got to be you and present you to the audience.
Right.
And every time you do a show, and then they start feeling like they know you and that you're part of them and that they can relate to you from that standpoint, not only with your music, but also as a person, as an individual. And that to me is part of longevity, that you find a place in people's hearts, you find a place in people's family, in their house, you find a place in their everyday living, and they put you there. Not that you put yourself there, they put you there. That's how you get longevity. How people put you into their lives and to their everyday living, and how they're living and why they're living. And they're able to put you in there, and then you're able to last a long time once you get in that place.
Absolutely. Let's do this. We'll take a break and we'll be right back on the Cam Hill Show.
We'll be right back to the Cam Hill Show after these messages.
I'm a part of the Prenatal Care Club now, taking all my STD tests.
Did you know your doctor's required by law to test you 3 times for syphilis and HIV?
Yes, my husband and I are making sure I get all 3 tests.
Good. Testing is the key to preventing congenital syphilis.
And good prenatal care is your first labor of love.
Glad to hear your husband is so involved.
Thank you. Yes, taking all my STD tests for syphilis is important to both of us. My prenatal promise is to prevent a stillbirth or miscarriage. To find out more, visit myprenatalpromise.com.
amazing things for you.
Move up at Ron Carter Cadillac with the new 2021 XT6 Luxury Collection with standard third row seating for just $459 a month for 39 months lease with just $1 down. Or purchase and receive 0.9% APR for 72 months plus $1,750 bonus cash. At Gulf Freeway, just 2 minutes south of the Beltway. Test drive the new 2021 Escalade today at Ron Carter Cadillac.
Shop smarter when you shop Ron Carter. RonCarterCadillac.com.
And now back to the Cam Hill Show.
Hey, family, thanks so much for coming back. We are here with the legendary Eddie Levert. Eddie, there's another question someone asked. Her name is Joni Williams. Are you amazed at how Love Train is being received with the new generation? They love it.
Oh man, you know, this song has a life of its own.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it is. I guess it's like this song has a life of its own. Do you
Yes.
understand? And
Mhm.
and it resonates not only with Black people, it resonates with Orientals, it resonates with Indians, it resonates with white people because they all act like this song was just out yesterday.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They
Uh-huh.
all want to dance to it and they all want to sing it. And
Mhm.
the remakes on it and the young kids, they can relate to it.
Yes.
I think it's the message, Cam.
Yes, it
I think
is.
it's the message is universal. The
Mm-hmm.
message is, and it includes all people in all
Right.
walks of life. And you know, this song has a life of its own, man. And you
Mm-hmm.
know, I can't. It's hard for me to put in words
Mm-hmm.
what it really means to me, because it's a universal song. I
Right.
mean, and I think every artist in this life would love to have a song like that. You
Mm-hmm.
want to have a song that relates to people and have nothing to do with sex or has nothing to do with drugs, has nothing to do with gangsterism, has nothing to do with it's just a great song with a great message and a great group delivered it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Definitely that. One of the last questions most want to know, if you were not a singer, what do you think you would have ended up being? I think you would have been a singer the whole time you started out.
You know, I don't know. You know, I love to paint, and
Really?
I do a lot. I paint. You see this thing in the
Yes.
background.
Yes.
That's one of my paintings. I'm painting that to be a mural in our bathroom. And what I'm doing, I'm getting all of my grandkids and my kids to put their hands, their heads, or their whatever they want to put on there
Uh-huh.
in this picture. And we're gonna hang it in the master bathroom with all of their hands and faces and all of that stuff in there. That it's gonna be like a family mural where
Wow.
they can look at it and say, I was this old when I did it. Because so I love to paint. But the only thing about painting, you can only make money once you're dead. You know what I'm saying? Your paintings ain't worth nothing until you're not around anymore.
Oh my
Then they can
God.
sell it for a whole lot of money. So
Right.
I had to forget about doing that. Um, so you know, I'm still somewhat of a humanitarian, Kim.
You definitely
I
are.
I, I want to I want to help people. And you know, the only thing about it now is that I've gotten to be older, so it's hard for me to get around and do things that I
Uh-huh.
wanted that I want to do, and to be involved with a lot of fundraising and
Right.
helping and educating people. So now I have to do it from a sitting position, but I still want to be, yeah, I still want to be instrumental in what goes on in my culture. When I
Right.
say my culture,
Yeah.
I mean for my people.
Right.
I'm a black man, first of all,
Right.
and I'm not a I'm not a town crier.
Right.
I'm a doer. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and I still want to fight for injustice.
Mm-hmm.
I want to on any level,
Mm-hmm.
on with anyone. When it's wrong, it's wrong.
Right.
And I'm still a fighter for justice and for I still want our people to be treated on a level playing field. You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And until that happens, I'll still be fighting in the trenches and still having a voice and saying things that they maybe don't like. And
Mm-hmm.
that I think that maybe if I wasn't so vocal, if I didn't have an opinion, I think I might have been bigger than I am in show business.
Well, I tell you what, through your songs and everything, you have been a humanitarian. Many of your, just music in itself soothes people, brings people together all the time. And it seems like with a lot of your songs, and that's what we were talking about, longevity, the music itself goes over generations and everybody can relate.
Absolutely. That's one of the things that I'm most proud of.
Mm-hmm.
That the music, there was a message in the music,
Right.
and we were able to get some of the messages across. Yeah, I did it for money too.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong. Yeah, I did it for the girls too. Yes, I did. Yes,
Uh-huh.
and yes, I did it for the good times and having a great time. But I also did it with the, with the vision that I was doing something that was helping my culture and my
Mm-hmm.
people. That's
Mm-hmm.
why you haven't heard too much of a scandal from the OJs. We're not we're not goody two shoes,
Mm-hmm.
but we tried to go out and represent our people at the highest level that we could.
Absolutely, absolutely. You all have done great in doing that. 40 million plus people, as you know, are unemployed through the pandemic and all of this. And in doing so, I always ask many of the guests, what would you tell those dreamers? Because many people still have a dream. They didn't want to really work at the place they were working at, but they had to pay their bills. Now they have an opportunity to take on or do their dreams. What would you tell them?
I would tell them, do it.
Mm-hmm.
Do what you have to do. You nothing comes to a sleeper but a dream. You
Yes.
know what I'm saying? You gotta dream it. If you can if you can think it, you can do it. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So and that's all you have to do is make yourself go about doing it. You
Yes.
know, you, you don't just say, well, if I had the time, if I had this, or if I had that. You have the time.
Right.
In fact, you have nothing but time. And remember, and it's on you. I have a model that I tell my grandkids. You put in the work, the party is greater later. In other
Mm-hmm.
words, don't worry about partying right now.
Right.
Do the work. And then once you get the work done and it start paying off for you, you can go and party for a whole year and don't even worry about paying
Right.
your rent. You
Right.
do you understand what I'm saying?
Exactly.
You party
Exactly.
as long as you want to party. If
Mm-hmm.
you put in the work and you make it happen, then you can party, You can party for a whole year without feeling any kind of stress about it.
Absolutely. And then people are saying, of course, we all hear the naysayers, the ones that say you can't do it. It's not going to work. You're not going to be successful.
You can't listen to that, man.
Yeah.
You can't listen to that. You got to go about doing, that's people who have given up on themselves.
Right. That's the key.
You can't
yes.
give up on yourself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And you there's no such thing as can't.
Right.
You got to remember, if you, Dionne Warwick told me a thing the other day. When you see American, it's American, American, CAN,
Right.
can. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So there's no American. I can't.
Right.
It's American.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you got to think when you hear that.
Well, I tell you one thing, Miss Trudy Lynn here she's the First Lady of Blues out of Houston, Texas, Trudy Lynn. She sends in and says she would like to do a duet with you one day.
What was her name again?
Her name is Trudy Lynn. She's the First Lady of the Blues out of Houston, Texas.
Tell Trudy she better hurry up. I'm getting...
She better hurry up, huh? I appreciate you so much, my friend. Thank you.
This took forever to get this done. And I finally made up my mind. I said, I'm going to do this interview no matter what. I'm not going to let anything get in the way. I'm going to get this done. And I've really enjoyed it, man.
I appreciate it.
I hope you got what you need and what kind of the information. I hope this is as successful for you as it has been for me to do it.
Absolutely. Trust me, you could have just shown up. You and Raquel. Shout out to your wife, Raquel. She's so sweet. You could have just shown your face. I was good.
Oh, that was good, my man. I really enjoyed it. And you tell Emilian, don't call me ever again.
Mr. Emilian White hooked it up for us. What you say? Don't call you no more.
Don't call me ever again. But I love it, man. I love it. I enjoy myself.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. Appreciate you all the time. Thank you for, first of all that you have done in taking the leap, breaking the glass ceilings for us as a people, and just living your best life in front of us. Thank you for the opportunity, my friend.
My pleasure, man.
Appreciate you. Appreciate you so much.
Take care, man.
Take care, soon.
Ken. See you again.
See you then.
Right.
On tomorrow, we will have legendary Denise Noor. She's from Ready to Love, The Last Resort, 12:31, 30 Central Standard Time. See you then. Bye.